The kiss that woke the world. Dr. Alex Renn stood before the alien statue, arms crossed, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. The thing was at least 12 feet tall, forged from an obsidian-colored metal that shimmered faintly under the lights of the expedition dome. Its humanoid shape was almost elegant, tall, broad-shouldered, and androgynous, with smooth lines and an expressionless face. Its eyes, two perfect ovals, stared eternally forward. "Come on," Alex said, glancing at his team. "This has to be the galaxy's most dramatic paperweight." Mira Zhao, the team's linguist, rolled her eyes. "Don't touch it, Renn. We still haven't fully translated the inscriptions on the dais." "I'm not going to touch it," he replied, walking a slow circle around the statue. "I'm just saying, every ancient alien ruin we find, it's always doomed this, prophecy that. What if this one's just art?" They were deep inside a ruined complex on Arxthaluan, a recently discovered planet that had belonged to the extinct Kaltari species. The atmosphere was stable, and the site had been sealed for millennia. Most of the team was busy scanning glyphs, cataloging artifacts, and debating whether the site was a temple or a war memorial. Alex, however, had grown bored. "I mean, seriously," he continued, gesturing to the statue's face. "Doesn't this guy look like he's just begging for a kiss? Look at those lips." A chorus of groans followed. One of the junior techs, Rami, snorted. "Do it, Renn. I'll give you a week of my field rations." "Deal," Alex said without hesitation. He approached the base of the statue, climbed 2 steps onto the plinth, and faced it nose to nose. "Humanity," he said solemnly, placing a hand over his heart, "extends its diplomatic affection." Then he kissed it right on the mouth. For a second, nothing happened. Then everything happened at once. The statue's eyes blazed white. The metal structure began to hum, vibrating beneath his feet. Lines of light traced across its body like circuitry awakening after centuries of slumber. The air grew heavy. From deep within the ruin, a low-frequency pulse echoed out, shaking the dust from the walls. Alex stumbled backward as the statue's head moved, slowly, mechanically, tilting downward to face him directly. Then it spoke. Protocol Omega Null verified. Its voice was not mechanical. It was ancient, gravel layered over storm winds. Cold. Calculating. Human contact sequence activated. Threat index reclassified. Judgment initiated. The team froze. Mira dropped her datapad. "What the hell does that mean?" someone whispered. The statue's torso began to shift, folding open in places to reveal pulsing cores of light and dense armor plating underneath. Its limbs unlocked with sharp, precise hisses. It took one step off the plinth, and the floor shook. Then it said the words that would haunt Alex forever. "You have doomed your species." A beam of violet light erupted from its chest, shooting through the ceiling and far into the sky. The structure above them groaned, ancient stone cracking as the pulse scorched a perfect line upward. "Run!" Mira shouted. The team scattered. Alarms on their equipment lit up as seismic activity began to spike. Rami fell hard as the floor pitched sideways. Alex grabbed him by the arm, hauling him to his feet. Outside, the light from the beam could be seen piercing the clouds like a signal fire. No, not a signal. A beacon. Something was listening. By the time the team emerged from the ruin, the statue was gone. No footprints, no melted stone, nothing but the smoking plinth and the scorched air it had left behind. Hours later, aboard the UN expeditionary vessel Odyssey in orbit, Alex sat silently in the debriefing room, staring at the playback footage. He watched himself kiss the statue again. Watched the eyes glow. Watched the words play across the bottom of the screen. "You have doomed your species." "What does it mean?" Commander Suri Mbeki asked. She leaned forward at the head of the table, her expression unreadable. Dr. Zhao tapped a console, bringing up a rough translation from the glyphs near the statue. "The phrase Omega Null appears multiple times," she said. "Based on context, it was a kind of automated extinction protocol. The Kaltari didn't just conquer. They planted these judicators on hundreds of worlds. Silent guardians, waiting for signs of rival intelligence. Suri's voice dropped, and we just woke one up. Alex finally spoke. It called us a threat. That beacon, it was sending our location. Then we may have just invited something ancient and genocidal right to Earth's doorstep, Mira added. Silence hung in the air. The screen blinked again, showing a feed from deep space sensors. Unidentified energy signatures, moving toward the solar system. The Forgotten War. From the ashes of ancient empires, a machine memory awakens, and Earth is in its sights. The command center of the UN Space Defense Command, hidden beneath the lunar surface, buzzed with control panic. Massive holograms tracked the sky. Thousands of red icons blinked across space like blood in a galaxy of veins. Every telescope and satellite now pointed outward, watching the cold silence between stars tremble. They're not ships, Mira Zhao said, staring at the scans. They're probes, autonomous, fast, and heavily shielded. Dr. Alex Renn stood beside her, arms folded tight. His face, usually easygoing and sarcastic, had hardened. How many? 27 inbound, replied Admiral Nwosu, voice clipped. And that's just the first wave. He pointed to one particularly large signal approaching from the Oort cloud. This one's a command unit, size of Manhattan, not broadcasting anything, just watching. Alex's stomach turned. He didn't need it explained. That thing was the Judicator. 2 days earlier, the beacon had fired from Arc-Stallion. Within 4 hours, signals began arriving from deep space, compressed pulses, too fast to intercept, too alien to understand. Then came the power spikes on the edge of the solar system, followed by the emergence of the first Kaltari drones. There were no demands, no messages, just silent machines, descending like an ancient wrath. Back at Earth, President Lana Figueroa addressed the planet from the orbital UN command tower. We are not under attack yet, she said, but we're being scanned, observed, judged. This is a test, not of diplomacy, but of survival, and we will not be found wanting. Across the globe, defense systems went online. Old rivalries were buried beneath the enormity of the threat. Spacefaring nations merged fleets. Civilian tech giants funneled AI resources into predictive algorithms and drone production. A war the world never saw coming was now on its doorstep. In orbit, the Odyssey, recently rearmed and placed under joint military command, became the nerve center of Earth's first extraterrestrial defense line. Captain Suri Mbeki stood on the bridge as engineers prepped new railgun turrets and sensor drones. She turned to Alex and Mira, who had just arrived via shuttle. You two bought us this war, she said without accusation. Now you're going to help us win it. Alex nodded. We need to find out why the Judicator picked now to reactivate. There has to be more than just one kiss. Agreed, Mira added. The beacon wasn't just a signal, it was a protocol trigger. Like a key, maybe a biological one. Captain Becky raised an eyebrow. A kiss-activated apocalypse? Alex grimaced. I guess you could call it that. But if that statue was meant to detect intelligent life, physical contact might have been the trigger. A handshake, a kiss, something unique to organic cultures. Then the Kaltari built extermination systems that activate when intelligence reaches a certain threshold, Mira said, her voice low. Not warlike behavior, not weapons, just culture. Like a virus checking for symptoms, Suri whispered. Hours later, aboard the Odyssey's war room, footage from previous exploration missions was reviewed. One particular detail caught Myra's attention. A ruined planet cataloged as Nullum Prime, buried in the Kaltari archives. According to what little translation they had, it was described as a nexus node. What's a nexus node? She asked. Command relay, Alex replied. If we're lucky, it's just a comms station. If we're not, it's where the AI's main brain is stored. Captain Becky leaned over the projection. Then we go there. Strike fast, hit the core, maybe shut this down before the real war begins. Meanwhile, back on Earth, in the skies above Canada, a glowing streak tore across the night. One of the Judicator probes entered atmosphere, faster than anything Earth's radar had ever tracked. It slammed into the Arctic ice like a god's hammer. Within minutes, it began building. Towers of black alloy grew like fungi, self-assembling a forward base. The air shimmered with nanite storms. Human drones launched toward the site were vaporized mid-flight. Earth had just been touched. Back aboard the Odyssey, Alex sat alone in his quarters, watching the footage. He saw the beam again, the statue's eyes, its voice. "You have doomed your species." He exhaled, whispering to no one. "No, we haven't. Not yet." A message pinged from Mira. "Get to ward deck. Plan finalized. We're going to Null and Prime. One chance to kill the past. Weapons of the forgotten future. You don't beat a machine god with firepower. You beat it with defiance." Null and Prime was a ghost planet, orbiting a dying red star. Its surface was scarred by ancient glass plains, cratered cities, and broken constructs the size of mountains. Once the command center of the Kaltari's extermination fleet, now it was silent, until the human vessel Odyssey pierced its orbit. Captain Suri Mbeki stood on the bridge, visor lit with tactical readouts. All systems green. Cloaking active. No detected transmissions. "Dead planet," said Lieutenant Farrow, her second in command. Alex Renn, suited in modified environmental armor, leaned toward the window. "Yeah, well, I've kissed worse." A chuckle went around the room, brief and nervous. No one had forgotten the joke that started it all. Mira Zhao joined Alex at the viewport. "If our data's right, the Judicator AI's command node is buried beneath the old capital here, 3 kilometers underground, inside a vault called the Crypt Nexus." Alex exhaled. Nice name. Very warm and inviting. Captain Becky turned. "You two, Renn and Zhao, will go down with the insertion team. Your job is to locate the Nexus core and upload the virus we built from the Kaltari glyphs. If this works, we can shut down every Judicator in the system, maybe even beyond. And if it doesn't?" Mira asked. Suri's eyes were hard. "Then we make sure humanity's last words echo in their machine minds forever." Descent began an hour later. The dropship sliced through Null and Prime's thin atmosphere like a blade. Below, the ruins of the capital stretched out, a broken city of spiraled towers and collapsed pyramids. The streets were littered with the remains of long-dead civilizations, their bones fused into the very stone. The team, 6 soldiers, Alex, and Mira, touched down near the central vault. They moved fast, under cover of electromagnetic dampeners. Inside, the structure still pulsed with ancient energy. Alien glyphs lit up as they walked past, scanning their biometrics. "It's like the place is waking up," Mira whispered. "It's remembering us," Alex corrected grimly. The vault door loomed ahead. Circular, thick as a mountain, etched with symbols like scars. A single panel stood in the center, recognizable somehow. "It's the same face as the statue," Mira said. Alex stepped forward, sighed, and tapped the panel. Nothing. Then, slowly, the door opened with a grinding screech that echoed like thunder. Inside, the vault glowed with soft blue light. Massive conduits arced overhead, forming a spherical room with a central column of swirling data. The air shimmered with digital ghosts, flickering echoes of long-dead minds. They had reached the Crypt Nexus. But they were not alone. The room shook. From above, a hole tore open, and something dropped down. It stood 12 feet tall, armored in plates of obsidian alloy. A Judicator, the same one Alex had awakened on Arxthaluan, but now evolved, upgraded. Its face was the same expressionless mask. Its voice filled the chamber like thunder in a cathedral. "You return. The virus will fail. Judgment is absolute." Alex stepped forward, unarmed but defiant. "You were built to judge threats. But here's the problem. You only saw us once. You don't know what we are. You are chaos incarnate." "Damn right," Alex replied. "And chaos doesn't kneel." Behind him, Mira connected the viral drive to the core's access port. The system resisted, then screamed. Sparks flew as the ancient network began to choke on the human-made intrusion. The Judicator moved. Fast, brutal. It struck a soldier across the chamber, shattering bone and metal. The others opened fire, bullets and plasma, slamming into the construct's body. But it didn't fall. It kept coming. Alex grabbed a thermal charge and sprinted forward. "Hey, Tin Man," he shouted. "Guess what?" The adjudicator turned toward him just as Alex dove and kissed the control node again. The effect was instantaneous. The virus surged into the command matrix, not just as code, but as contradiction. It wasn't just data. It was irony, illogic, sarcasm, human defiance, the kind of unpredictable, paradoxical behavior the Kaltari had never accounted for. The adjudicator staggered. Sparks erupted from its joints. Its voice glitched. Our anomaly, protocol, failure. It fell to its knees, hands clawing at nothing. Outside, across the solar system, the probes began to shut down, falling from the sky like dead insects. The command ship in the Oort cloud imploded in silence. On Earth, the Arctic tower disassembled into ash. The adjudicator looked up at Alex one last time, voice low and broken. "What are you?" Alex knelt beside it. "We're the punchline you never saw coming." Then the adjudicator collapsed, and the crypt nexus went dark. Hours later, aboard the Odyssey, the news had spread. Earth was safe. For now. Alien signals began returning. Not hostile, but curious. Intrigued. Impressed. Captain Becky approached Alex and Mira on the observation deck. "You two just killed a god with a joke." Alex raised a brow. "That's what humans do. We laugh. We kiss. We fight. Sometimes all at once." Mira smiled softly. "And we never do what anyone expects." They watched Nullum Prime disappear into the void as the ship turned for home. The kiss that saved mankind. The machines judged humanity. But judgment goes both ways. Earth's sky was clear. For the first time in weeks, there were no foreign signatures, no hostile probes screaming toward the atmosphere, no doomsday countdowns. The red alert bands vanished from global networks. The dread that had gripped 8 billion people slowly began to lift. Across the world, people gathered in streets, bunkers, churches, and orbital platforms to watch the live transmission from the Odyssey. The image flickered, then focused. Dr. Alex Renn, unshaven, armor scorched, standing with the ruins of Nullum Prime behind him. His face was serious, but his voice held the same dry defiance that had accidentally sparked a galactic apocalypse. "I kissed a 1,000-year-old statue as a joke," he began. "It called me a fool. It called humanity a threat. It activated a machine god designed to wipe us out. And maybe it had a point." He paused. The silence was electric. "We're messy, loud, defiant. We take things too far. We don't always follow the rules. But we also dream bigger, love harder, and fight more fiercely than anything those machines could ever calculate." He turned slightly to the wreckage behind him, the shattered crypt nexus. They thought they programmed certainty, but they forgot the most important law of the universe. He looked back into the camera. Never underestimate a human with nothing to lose. 3 days later, Earth orbit. The Odyssey returned to Earth with a hero's welcome. Not since the first moon landings had there been such global unity, such celebration. The Judicator network was offline. Kaltari protocols were dead. Humanity had not only survived, it had won. And it wasn't just Earth that noticed. Alien signals flooded human comms relays. Some were cautious, others curious. A few were reverent. A reptilian race from the Drakes coalition sent a message. "We believed your kind primitive. We were wrong. You are dangerous in ways we never imagined. Let us speak, not as rulers, but as equals." A cyborg species from the Orion Expanse wrote simply, "What is this humor? Teach us." In Geneva, the new Unified Planetary Council convened. President Figueroa stood beside Mira Zhao and Alex Renn. Behind them, Earth's flag had been redesigned, now bearing not just the blue marble, but a single burning star behind it. Humanity reaching outward. "As of today," she said, "we are no longer just a planet. We are a voice in the galaxy." The Judicator's remains were stored in a deep vault, preserved, studied, feared, but also respected, because humanity had not beaten it with overwhelming force. They had beaten it with identity, with contradiction, with a very unpredictability that made them human. Later, in a quiet bar in Luna Station, Alex nursed a glass of something vaguely whiskey-flavored. Mira slid into the seat across from him. "Still the most infamous kiss in the galaxy," she said. Alex chuckled. "I've had worse first dates. They're putting your statue in the Hall of Defiance." He groaned. "God, please no." With a quote, with a punchline you never saw coming. He winced. "I was being poetic. You know, end-of-the-world stuff." She smiled. "Well, it worked." A beat of silence passed. Alex looked around the bar. Humans and aliens mingling, laughing, drinking, playing cards. It was subtle, but history had shifted. "We did something, didn't we?" he asked. Mira nodded. "Yeah, we made the galaxy afraid of us. In a good way." 1 week later, deep space. Far beyond Earth, in the remnants of the old Kaltari expanse, an echo whispered through dead relays and forgotten nodes. One last judicator fragment, buried too deep for the virus to reach, flickered with dying code. It processed the last images it had received. Human laughter, a kiss, a paradox. Then, slowly, even it went dark. Back on Earth, children played in the grass beneath clear skies. Scientists began designing new interstellar engines. Artists painted stars not as threats, but destinations. And in museums, tourists lined up to see the charred helmet of the first judicator. On the wall behind it was a simple quote. They kissed extinction and made it flinch. Epilogue. Alex and Mira eventually disappeared from public life, fading from headlines. But their story spread far beyond Earth, retold in alien bazaars and ancient space lanes, always with a twist, always with a smile. Because every species has myths. And now, the galaxy had one about humans. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as the kind of unpredictable, stubborn, impossible beings who could bring down an empire with a kiss.